It's live. Um, Let me go over to the YouTube page. Hello, guys. This is technically the Are You in Your Body workshop. It is the live call and Q&A that I'm holding for my Intuition for Lazy People. There we go. There I am. Hi, guys. Let me know if you can hear me. I could just hear me. And then we'll get started. I'll give people just a minute or two to tune in. And my plan is to go over the three free lessons that I sent, the Intuition for Lazy People lessons, and then to sort of elaborate a little bit about what I mean by being in your body, what it has to do with intuition and eating and our relationship with food and our bodies. And then I want to take questions. Yeah, you guys can hear me. Awesome. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Eva. I know the chatting on YouTube thing is, hey, Emily, is awesome because I can hold workshops on here. But I did learn that if you don't have a YouTube account, which I just assumed that everybody had a YouTube account because it was just like a Google account, but apparently it's actually different than a Google account. Then you can't type in, but most people have YouTube accounts. So my plan is I'm going to go over the lessons that I've already sent to you. Most of you probably have already read through them, but if not, this is a chance to hear them again. I will elaborate on them as I normally elaborate on things that normally I elaborate and then I read on and I realize that I've already written it. So, basically I teach, just for anyone who has no idea, I am the creator of the Fuck It Diet, and I teach people how to become normal with food. I talk about metabolism. I talk about what happens to the body when we restrict. And I also teach intuition, and I teach kind of our relationship with our body and our emotions and how that has to do with both eating and body image and also intuition at large, like how to become more in tune with what your body is saying to you, not only in relationship to food and what you need to eat, but everything else as well. And there's a huge overlap. I find that becoming more in tune with your body and your cravings with food and kind of getting over all of the stuff that's in our way can be a really amazing doorway into kind of applying the same principles to every area of our life. So that's what I found personally. That's what a lot of my readers and students have found. And that is what we're doing here today. So I have this free email series called Intuition for Lazy People. And my idea with that is that laziness is this sort of taboo. Like we think we're not allowed to be lazy. But we all secretly crave being lazy. And I basically just want to illustrate how simple it can be to begin to tap into your own wisdom and your intuition, which is why the very first lesson is the simple task of writing a letter from your body, which has been something that I have recommended people to do on the Fuck It Diet. In every program I've ever led, in every workbook I've ever sold, it's writing a letter from your body has been one of the very biggest things that I recommend. So writing a letter to yourself from your body is something that I've instructed you. This is an example of me saying something and then realizing that I've already written it. It's something I've instructed people to do as a part of the Fuck It Diet for years. It's super simple but profound, and it is a very easy and quick way to tap into your own intuition. And it might sound a little out there, but all you have to do is use your imagination. It's really, you can just imagine that your body can communicate with you and tell you exactly what it thinks, what it wants you to know, what it has felt, what it is feeling, what would help it heal, what would help it feel better, and is there anything else that your body wants you to know? So literally all I recommend is that you start writing. Body, what do you want me to know? Go for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And not to be alarmed if the answers are super, super simple, super, super simple, because I find that most profound things are extremely simple and we sort of just need to hear them again in a new light. I I went on to say that healing my relationship with food opened up a whole method of following intuition that was body-led. What does my body want? What is my body saying? What do I crave? And I'll talk about that in a little while too. And it all started with food, and then I allowed it to bleed into every single area of my life. So my question for you now is, has anybody done that exercise and want to share what they experienced or ask a question about the exercise itself? I'm going to give just a moment for people to respond. And if not, I'll just move on to the next thing. You can also say, no, I haven't done that, or no, I haven't signed up for the lessons. That's okay too. And I think there's a little delay too, which is the shame. Another thing that you could do is, while we're waiting, Jeannie says she hasn't done it yet. Do it. What we can do actually is take 1 minute, if you have a piece of paper and a pen, or even do it on your computer. Start writing. Write literally 5 sentences of what, use your imagination. What does your body want you to know? And Emily, you did the exercise. You can share what it felt like, and if anyone has any questions, but you can try it now. Try it. I'll give you 1 minute. You don't need to write a long thing, just a quick little thing. What would your body want to tell you right now? What does it know? What does it want? And Emily, you don't have to share. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if anybody does want to, go ahead. And if anybody hasn't done it, try it right now, and I'll be quiet. "15 more seconds, and then I'll share with you what I didn't do the writing exercise, but I just thought about what my body wants me to know right now. And I'll tell you. Hey, Teresa. Yeah, we're just doing a quick version, just the 1 minute version. And doing it longer has benefits as well, because once you start to do it, other things come out, and then you're editing less, and you're thinking about it less, and you're just sort of going on impulse. That's the one of the benefits of doing of writing. Writing can actually get you out of your head, and things will come out that you didn't like think, like push. All right, so just in my really quick, and we're just doing sort of a super really intro short version of each of these. There is a lot of benefit in actually doing the full thing, giving yourself a full 10 minutes or however long. My body wants me to know that it would love to stretch today, would love to go for a walk, and that it's officially sick of soy sauce. I had a lot of soy sauce today. Emily said she did it a couple weeks ago and reviewing what she wrote. It was a hard thing to do on an emotional thing to end, an emotional thing to do, but also freeing. Yeah, it can be real. It can actually, I'm glad that you shared that actually, because it can be, especially in the beginning, super emotional, to even like connect with, to even like imagine to be your body after years and years of dieting, or a complete disconnect with your body, because that's essentially what dieting is. and not being in touch with your intuition or your body. There's a disconnect between your brain and your body. So even bridging that gap for a simple 5 to 10 minute writing exercise can be emotional because you're finally communicating, and there can be a lot of pain there, especially if it's been a bad relationship, which a lot of us have had. And you may find that the more you do it, the easier it becomes, the better the relationship becomes between you and your body, your brain and your body. I forget what else I was going to say. Okay, BG said, my body wanted me to know it is safe. Love that. My body wants me to know that I am trying to cuddle it with kindness. My body wants me to know that I am trying to cuddle it with kindness. My body wants me to know I will feed it when it is hungry. My body wants me to know that it will not internalize the negative cultural messages. That's awesome. Maybe my body wants me to know that I am trying to cuddle it with kindness. I don't know why that's so confusing to me. I love it. It's so beautiful. And this is the way that you're like the communication between you and your body are working. My body wants me to know that I will feed it when it's hungry. Is it more like your body wants you to feed it when it's hungry, or it is? Do you know why I'm confused? I love it so much, but if I had written it, I would have said, my body wants me to feed it when it's hungry. Do you know what I mean? Like the body asking for things. Either way, there's no wrong way to do it. I'm just clarifying there. Jeannie said, my body wants to know why I hated it so much. I know. That it tries to tell me when it needs rest, food, and movement, but I believe the lies outside myself that tell me I need to change it. That's really beautiful, and like a super common sort of conversation between body and cruel dictator brain. It's beautiful, and I, I don't do this exercise. I used to do it a lot more. I used to write letters from my body all the time in the beginning, and I don't do it so much anymore. But honestly, whenever I remember to, whenever I'm feeling like kind of lost, I never regret it. I always find it super profound. There's always something to be learned or something to be recognized, because sometimes it's just, stating the obvious, but we need to hear it that way somehow. Teresa said, my body thanked me for feeding and listening to it. My body thanks me a lot now after the Fuck It diet, after years of doing this and years of like really trying to listen. When I do write a letter now, it's like, oh, thank you so much for doing this. And I'm really excited about this. And this has been hard, blah, 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 blah. So it's gotten a lot less emotional, a lot less painful and sad, I would say. So there's hope. It's a good beginning bridge in communication. Because we talk to our bodies all the time. And by we, I mean like our brains. And again, we're not our brains. Like we could get into different ways of talking about what we are and what's a brain and what's the body. You could sort of say like, there's the brain, which works under like a lot of panic. It's a great tool, but it can kind of like go and be really difficult and anxious and cruel. And then there's the body, which has a lot of wisdom. And then there's the spirit that we are kind of like watching and trying to communicate between all of those things. Janine said, my body wants me to give up coffee, even though I only have one per day, but I love it. And coffee shop culture is so much a part of my entrepreneurial vibe. Oh, girl, I feel you. It might just be a temporary thing. I did that for 6 months. It was horrible. But I learned stuff about my body, and I drank decaf, and I still went to coffee shops, and it was really hard. And I should probably do it again because I've like crept back up. But I went through hardcore withdrawal because my body wanted the same thing. Did it for 6 months. Finally got to the other side where I like didn't need caffeine anymore. And then I was like, I want to drink caffeine again. And but it kind of did reset me and reset my relationship to it. So I'm sorry that was the information that came through, but like, I don't think anything needs to be as black and white or permanent as we fear. It could just be like an interesting experiment. Delisa said, my body wants to know why I don't treat it with respect, why I don't listen to it more often and nurture it. It wants to know why I'm in physical pain. It might also eventually, if you keep writing, it might also know why you're in physical pain or want to communicate something that will help you. Janine says, glad to hear that about the coffee. I did this and it was very, very hard. And it was totally, I was like, I think I need to give up caffeine and like see what happens. And what happened was very difficult. But I'm back to drinking like a lot of caffeine now. Okay. Great, guys. You can keep sharing what your body had to say. And I'm happy to read it, but I'm going to move on to the next. I'm going to move on to the next lesson. But isn't it super profound? And again, it's really easy to do, except for if there's an emotional reaction. But even that is cathartic and can really lead to amazing things. Okay. Lesson number 2. What I have titled the easiest meditation you'll ever learn. Lie down. That is the task. That is the simple task. And a lot of the advice that I give sounds annoyingly simple and like pointless. And I have felt that way about this advice that I'm now giving. I'm like, journal, writing exercises, like stupid. Like, how could that ever be helpful? And then only in surrendering to it, I'm like, okay, fine. So lie down. Yes, really, just lie down. Take a 10-minute pause to lie down and have no agenda. It is the easiest meditation you'll ever learn. It doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to do anything specific or do any specific mantra or anything for it to be a meditation of sorts, because all it really is a timeout for your brain, even though your brain may be going and probably will be and always will be. And also a very, very deliberate timeout for your body. So it's like meant to be like a reset button. It sounds too simple to be true, but deliberate downtime is something that all of us really, really need and never really give to ourselves. Me included. If I don't deliberately make myself do this, and whenever I do, it is always a game changer. I always feel better. I always have some sort of like aha moment or like peace. I take my phone into my bed and I'm like, I'm going to relax. And then I'm like on Instagram, like making stupid shit. Like I know it while I'm doing it. I'm like, oh, this isn't downtime, you know? And there's nothing wrong with like TV and phone, and that kind of stuff can be really, really fun and good in a different way. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it is not the same thing as totally turning off your body and brain for 10 minutes. And again, when I say turning off your brain, I don't mean that it's going to stop. It's not going to stop. It's going to cycle through like all of the slides, you know? But allowing it to do that is really important. Slowing down, and that is what this is. It's just like a 10-minute slowdown where you do not have to do anything. Will give your body and mind the chance to take a break and allow your intuition and wisdom to pipe up. I call this sort of like a meditation light. And you probably heard in some magazine or yoga or whatever that you should be meditating. And most of us are resistant to that because we're like, okay, but like when and like why and like what is it really going to do? And that's okay. It's because it can be uncomfortable, especially in the beginning. Sort of just like the writing exercise can be uncomfortable in the beginning because you're like finally doing the thing that you've resisted doing, talking to your body or taking 10 minutes to just be. Just the beginning can be difficult because there's stuff that's going to come up that we haven't wanted to deal with or face or feel. But just start by taking this lie down instead of worrying about meditating or whatever. This is like taking the time out is the meditation, and you don't have to sit up with perfect posture. You can lie down on your bed and it can be comfortable. But no music or anything like that. Like truly just allow it to be silence and nothingness for 10 minutes. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Doesn't have to, it can be longer than 10 minutes. It can also be shorter than 10 minutes, but 10 minutes is a nice like chunk of time. Lie flat on your back, and in bed works. You're allowed to get as comfortable as you can. Don't have any distractions. Don't have any expectations. Your brain doesn't need to be silent. It will absolutely be going and moving, and you'll think of things, and you'll want to get up and write something down in your phone. Try not to. Don't worry if your mind starts going in circles. Just breathe and just lie there. Surrender to the art of doing nothing, which is something that I believe in so much. And I talk a lot about rest and the art of doing nothing. But, you know, this, like truly doing nothing, is something that I still resist. And I still, you know, when I'm in the habit of doing this, I'm happier, more grounded, more present, more like, and also it can be really good if you're anxious or really unsure of something, or tired. It can be an awesome, awesome reset, an awesome way to just sort of like take a time out. It's like a timeout for adults in a good way. Just give yourself that break. And this exercise works on a physical and mental layer, and emotional, because when we do take the time to do nothing, that's when emotions might make themselves known, which is another thing that can be difficult if you're not used to doing this. But again, it's really important to start getting in touch with those things, what's in there, like waiting to be recognized. And if this is difficult to do, if you're like, I can't do nothing for 10 minutes, then you need it even more. That's a sign that you either are so busy that you need the rest, just 10 minutes of rest, or that your brain is so painful that it really needs to like start being dealt with. And there can be a lot of unprocessed stuff, fears, anxieties, emotions in our bodies that can make it really uncomfortable once we finally try to calm down. But the only way is to actually start giving yourself the time to start to become aware of this stuff. Okay. So I'd love to hear, obviously I'm not going to like guide you through 10 minutes of doing nothing, because I would literally just be sitting here for 10 minutes. But I recommend you try this if you haven't already. And if any of you have tried this, either from this recommendation or for being in one of my other programs where I've recommended this, I would love to hear from you. And I would also love to hear from people who are listening to this and resistant or have questions, or want to ask any specific questions about it. And in the meanwhile, while anyone is writing in or not, Janine said that she loves the idea of experiments, referring to the coffee experiment. It takes all of the pressure off. Yes, I'm all about experiments and curiosity, and no like rules or dogma, because then it just gets stressful. And Ava said when she did the writing exercise, my body tells me it is not hungry for anything right now, and that's all she wrote. I want to know. Because I'm growing out my bangs, and it is such a long and difficult process. They're too long to be like really bangs right now. I'm going to give everyone just a moment, because there really is this delay, to talk about the lie down. That's what I call it, the lie down. And I have friends, and I go through phases with everything, you know, everything has phases. And I've had phases where I've like done this, I've been like, this is my practice or whatever. This is my like coping mechanism isn't the right word. This is my part of my self-care routine. And I've done this way more religiously, for lack of a better word, during different phases of my life. And I've said to friends, all right, I have to go take a lie down. They're like, okay, old lady, you're going to go take a lie down. It's not like, it's different than a nap. It's different than going to meditate. I'm going to go take a lie down. And then Ava continued, she had said, my body tells me it is not hungry for anything right now. And then she continued, that I can have anything when I want it. Awesome. Jeannie said, I have tried this and I love it. It's a great alternative when I don't feel like meditating. Awesome. Yes, it can be like the low pressure, like I'm tired or I'm anxious or I just like need a moment to like breathe and not be sitting and not be thinking about anything or figuring anything out. It can be a really good way also. And, you know, taking all pressure and expectation off. If you like need to make a really tough decision, or if somebody's emailed you something really stressful and you're like, oh, I need to respond, you start panicking. You're like, you know what? No, I'm going to go take a lie down. Always helps. Emily said, hearing about this from you has been really validating because I sometimes do guided meditations, audio recordings, etc., but I never want to sit properly for them. I just lie in my bed. Lol. Yes, lie down. Yeah, sit. Look, there's nothing wrong with sitting for meditations or whatever. I'm also currently training. I'm doing a yoga teacher training, which I'm excited about having like a more mainstream mind body teaching that people understand. And I'm going to weave it into the work I do somehow, you know, probably literally when I hold retreats, we'll do like yin yoga and we'll have like little things like that. But, you know, yoga really, you know, it was created to be a way to stretch the body so you could sit without pain in meditation. So just lie down. And Emily said, it's nice to take the pressure off of doing it right. Yeah, make it work for you. It's because it's not about the sitting. Like the sitting isn't the thing that is giving you the benefit. It's the taking the time out, you know, taking the downtime. Great. That is great to hear. So of course, anyone else pipe in. And if you haven't done this, try it. I mean, I know people resist it. People seriously resist this because they're like, what's the point of that? And some people are worried that they're going to fall asleep. People say that they don't have any time, which is bullshit. We need to value ourselves enough to give ourselves 10 minutes of doing nothing. I mean, I recommend way more time. I know it's easier said than done. I know that we're all busy and we have like shit ton of responsibilities and it's hard to carve out that time. But if you cannot carve out 10 minutes, something's wrong. You really like, you need to have time for yourself. And, you know, if you have an amazing self-care practice and you take yourself to massages and you go do your whatever and you take your bubble baths, like that's great. That's good to hear. But most people who can't take the 10 minutes, never give themselves the time. And they're like, I don't have 10 minutes. Ooh, you better find 10 minutes because that is the road to burnout. And that is the road to never giving yourself a chance to actually drop in and like assess what's going on and listen to yourself. All right. Anyone else can write in about this? I'm going to move on to number 3. And this is the last of those the 3 email series. So this is the 3rd lesson. What do you crave? This might sound too good to be true, that I'm asking you to genuinely follow your cravings. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with it, but it's not too good to be true. We are so out of touch with our cravings, especially our cravings for food. However, we're also out of out of touch with our cravings for everything else, rest, any kind of self-care, any kind of desire for fun or honestly, like the list is too long, so I don't even know where to start. We shut down our body signals. We push through when we need to rest. We eat salads when we need carbs. And we say yes to plans when we mean no. We are all trained to be little martyrs. We're all trained to grin and bear it and do what we are told to do. And so one of the best ways to get in touch with our intuition is to trust what we crave. So I recommend that a really easy way to start doing this is to do this with food. This was honestly one of my first overlaps that I kind of realized between body intuition and cravings was with food and me taking myself through my food and body journey. So the next time you're hungry, what do you crave? Really, what does your body crave? Get really specific about the kind of food, taste, texture you crave. Can you have fun experimenting with intuition that cravings bring? How does it feel when you crave a certain food? Can you tell that that is just a form of intuition? It is, yes, it is like a very complicated, like hormonal process of your body leading you in the right direction. Because if you need carbs or you need fat or whatever, you're going to crave something that's along specific nutrients. I mean, our body is really, really intelligent. So it's doing all of that on purpose. But our experience of a craving, you can't put your finger on it. You can't show someone you're craving, you know, you have to just feel it. And that process of trusting that will help you trust other sorts of pulls and repels and other ways that your body is communicating you with other areas of your life. So how does it feel not only to have the craving, but then to satiate the craving, to eat the thing that you crave? How does it feel when you aren't able to satiate the craving and you can't get that very specific donut and you have to eat something else? Because that's life. Food cravings are some of the most concrete, intuitive information that you will ever get. It's abstract, but you feel it, and your body is communicating to your mind and your senses what it needs and wants. This principle can also, with awareness and practice and trust and trying things out and being willing to make mistakes and learn from them, can also apply to food and jobs and where you live and who you love and what, you know, what project to take on or what, you know, organization to volunteer for. And you can start to kind of feel your desires as an actual way of following what is right for you. And what I also like to explain, and this wasn't in the lessons, but when we're in like a survival mode, and let's use food as an example, when you're in a survival mode, you haven't been eating enough food, you've been on a diet, your body is just craving literally anything. You can't hear. So I've said that, I'm going to make sure that I said this right because I haven't written it down. Your body craves what it is not allowed to have and what it needs. So if you haven't been allowing it to have anything, you're not going to be able to tell any specific cravings as well. So it's really, really important to try to listen, but to just feed your body. You're going to crave everything, so eat everything. But the more you're not in that sort of survival mode, you're going to be able to tell more specifically what you want and need, and things are going to become easier to feel and follow. And the same thing goes for, let's use jobs, for instance. If you've been in a job that you hate and that is literally crushing your soul for 15 years, it's not going to be easy for you to tell what the next move is for you. You're going to have to just try something or just trust that the overwhelming dread and misery is a sign that something else needs to happen. But you not knowing exactly what that thing is okay because you haven't been following anything else. Does that make sense? I hope I've explained that well. But basically, my point is, if you're really out of touch with your cravings and intuition, your cravings and intuition are going to be way more general, like bad, good, or like, I don't want to do it, maybe I want to do it, as opposed to more nuanced. Does that make sense? Anyway, I would love to hear what you guys think about that. And I will take any questions about any of this stuff as well. So Jeannie said, so true that the whole sit with your back straight and your feet flat on the floor is just not happening with meditation. Yeah, like that is not a helpful way to get someone to do something that's already something they don't want to do. No. Ava said, sometimes I complicate listening to my cravings and think constantly about food and whether I'm hungry or not. It helped me to have a certain structure. Complicate listening to my cravings and think constantly about food. Yeah. And I think, Ava, that's what you're saying, right? And that nuanced made sense. I think what you're saying is when you're in a place where you haven't been listening to your cravings at all, it can be too much pressure to like know exactly what you want to need. You never need to know exactly what you want to need. Like I, as soon as we start going down the dogma path of like, if you're not listening to exactly what you need, you're gonna like get lost. Like, no, it's impossible. It's like we're in the dark and we're like taking a blind step forward and then like feeling for the next step. And making choices, making intuitive choices or food choices or life choices that are not right, only can serve as information for the future. Remember when I did that thing and I thought that it was right because of this, but I actually learned that it wasn't. Like it's helpful for you to learn what that feels like and what that felt like making that decision. And also sometimes it just teaches you exactly what you needed to know. So like it wasn't the right job for you to stay in for the rest of your life, but for that year it was right. Or for that day, that, sandwich was. Emily said that it makes sense. Awesome. So if anybody has any questions about these particular lessons, ask away. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the concept of coming back into your body and what I mean by that, because so much of the Intuition Intensive, if anybody who's watching is interested in looking into that or maybe taking it, I'm going to just give a little intro on that because so much of my work and our work in that program is built on the concept of coming back into your body and grounding, and that is where your intuition and cravings and wisdom is. But first, Laurel said, I'm a college student, so I'm confined to the food that is served in the dining hall. Do you have any advice on how to follow my cravings when what I crave might not be available to me? Oh yeah, I think you guys are on a delay. Jeannie just said that I'm on a delay. I think everyone's on like a 10-second delay. That's my guess right now. So Laurel, that's really hard. College is hard on a lot of levels when it comes to like being able to fully take care of yourself. In a way, buffets, I don't know if it's a buffet, but like going into a, people who have to grocery shop for themselves ask me the same question. They're like, well, I have to buy all this food for myself. And then I get home and 3 days later, I crave something that I don't have. What am I supposed to do? So you're not alone. And in a way, they would envy you being able to just walk into a dining hall and being like, what do I want today? Of course, if they don't have what you want, that can be frustrating. So you either, I don't know your financial situation, if you're able to, say, okay, well, maybe tonight I'll go to XYZ and get something closer to what I crave. But I would do the best that you can do, get the closest thing to what you crave. I mean, I obviously recommend that you have some stuff in your dorm, whatever you have been craving, so you can eat what you feel like your body really wants. It doesn't need to be horribly expensive, hopefully. But, this is very similar to a question that people ask me a lot, which is like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like go out every time I'm hungry and get the exact same thing, like the exact thing that I crave. Like that's absurd. No, I'm not telling people to do that. I'm telling you can do that, but that's not realistic. So let's like have some sort of compromise here where we start to listen to what we want and listen to what we crave. And if we can't get it for that meal or that day, you do the best you can do and you see if you can get it the next day, or you see if your cravings change, or you just learn what you can learn about cravings, what you crave, what it feels like to not satiate your cravings. See if you can get that thing sometime this week. And if you can't, you have to do the best that you can do. And there is something kind of amazing about being able to walk into a cafeteria and be like, what of all of the things do I crave right now? That can be like a really awesome experiment that I think a lot of people might actually be jealous of. But tell me if that's helpful. Basically, I'm letting you off the hook. You don't need to eat exactly what you crave all of the time. Like, you will be healthy and fine, and you will still be able to learn about intuition and learn about your body, and eventually satiate those cravings in whatever way is possible and makes sense. Tell me if that's helpful, Laurel, and anyone else. You can pipe in on either piggybacking questions or similar experiences. Jeannie says that she's on a delay. Can you guys hear me? Oh, these bangs, guys. I know it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I'm not really looking at myself the whole time, but then I'll go over to see if this thing is still working. So if anybody else wants to talk about or ask me any questions about what I've already talked about, great, ask away. And until then, I'm going to talk just a little bit about grounding and what the hell it is and why this workshop was called Are You in Your Body in the first place. So, and this is all stuff that could be talked about in a million different ways, and I elaborate way on it more in the program. But the concept is we are meant to, as humans, live in our bodies. That is the most alive version of ourselves. However, as we go through life, we don't learn how to process emotions in real time. And our coping mechanism, en masse, like most of us, when something painful or traumatizing happens, we don't want to feel it. So we get used to, and being in our bodies, being actually down in our bodies, feel like literally feeling what it feels like in your body. What do your legs feel like? What does your stomach feel like? What's uncomfortable? What is comfortable? What are your emotions? Are you hungry? Does your back hurt? Do your feet hurt? Being willing to actually be in your body is the idea of being grounded and like being down here, willing to feel, willing to be human, willing for things to be uncomfortable. And that is the way we actually are able to process things and then not get into this kind of habit where we don't want to feel. So things are kind of like stuck waiting. So when we experience any sort of pain or emotion that feels overwhelming or trauma, we sort of like jump out of our bodies. And this is also something that we do when we have food and body image issues. We don't want to feel it. It's so uncomfortable that we're like, get me out of here. Like, I don't want to take up space. I don't want to have a body. It's uncomfortable. It's human. Like, I don't want to deal, and like sort of over dramatizing it, but that is symbolically what we're doing with body image issues. We don't want to come back down and actually feel what it feels like in a body. So when I ask people to consider coming back down and integrating again with their body and starting the dialogue between their brain and their body and actually like making that connection, being willing to feel the stuff that's inside, being willing to feel your cravings, honor them, lie down and take time out and actually come back into your body and see what it feels like in there. It can be really, really uncomfortable, as I've already said today, because there's all of this stuff that we have basically like put aside or tried to ignore or tried to pretend wasn't there, and all these emotions and all of this old panic that we still like, we come back down and we're like, I can't do this, like I can't go here. And I also teach a lot about limiting beliefs. And I very much like to explain that limiting beliefs and all of our beliefs and shoulds and fears are kind of like tangled up in and attached to these emotions. So they can be like triggered either by coming in and feeling, and then we like have the beliefs and we're like, get out, like, I don't want to feel it. Or we will have the belief, which will then like kind of trigger the emotional part of it too. And our like habitual coping mechanism is to jump out, to jump into the mind and start overthinking. Some people like totally are like out of their bodies. The concept of dissociation and like not remembering things is related to trauma, but I genuinely believe, and I have a book that I really, really love that has like confirmed all of this for me and that I would really recommend. It's called Waking the Tiger. And it's basically about how like we are often traumatized in small ways that may not seem obvious to us, but um, any situation that you've gotten into that the body believed was life-threatening, that we as humans jump out of the body, and so we don't actually finish the fight or flight process, becomes trauma. And some of you know, like, oh yes, I had XYZ experience and I'm traumatized because of it. Like some of you know, and a lot of people have no idea that what they're experiencing is a mild form of trauma. So many humans are, and it didn't have to be a truly life-threatening experience for your body to think it was. The book is amazing. It's called Waking the Tiger, but it's the same concept of us not wanting to be in our bodies and feel the sensations that come along with being a human. And so much of, there's so many comments and I'm going to have to read them all in a moment, but so much of intuition, healing the metabolism, healing the emotional and mental part of this process, and actually inhabiting your body and feeling what it feels like to make a choice and see if it's the right choice for you, is about coming back into your body and being willing to feel and process the old stuff so you can actually be present to feel and access your wisdom. That's like the SparkNotes version. So Bang Free Life is the best. Emily, yes, I know. I'm trying to get to a bang free life. Laurel said, yes, that's helpful. I think being confined to specific hours is also tricky. I feel like I have to eat when the dining halls are open because otherwise I'll be hungry later, which might be sabotaging my hunger fullness levels. But yes, I think being grateful for the variety I'm offered is definitely a good starting place. Awesome, Laurel. And just as another thing to say, just another confirmation for you that being in college and like living in dorms, like normally like cinder block dorms, and like not having a kitchen, and like college is hard. It's beautiful, it's exciting, can be so fun, but it's also really hard. So I empathize with you. Ava said, maybe you don't want to talk about it in this call, but today I feel so negative about myself and my body, especially feeling fat, and did not know what to do or how to handle it. I jumped out of my body, I think. Yes, so this is like the basis of all of my work. So I do, of course, recommend what I like this, again, the SparkNotes version is becoming aware of what we're doing in times when we spiral into panic. And again, of course, I go extensively into this in the Intuition Intensive, and also Fucketeer Academy gives like some like intro to energy work, because I really think that energy work, which essentially is guided grounding and processing old stuff that's being triggered, is really, really helpful. Like it is essentially like what I recommend, like, oh, you're spinning into panic and you keep doing it. Like, let's figure out what the trigger is. What is the belief or fear that is underneath the panic, and then guiding yourself back into your body and being willing to feel it. So the very, very first thing that I recommend for people is the awareness about what is happening. We all have beliefs and fears, and I just call them limiting beliefs, that essentially are in our subconscious, but like totally ruling the show from the background. They are connected to unprocessed emotion and sensation and energy in our bodies. And so that is the stuff that's getting triggered, so to speak, and all of it's bubbling up, wanting to be felt and processed. And this also has to do with like the sort of concept of the frozen fight or flight state that we never let the process complete. So coming back into your bodies and like feeling the like movement of energy can be really helpful to help your body like integrate. Hope that this makes sense. But again, I'm not like taking us through, I'm just sort of giving concepts, because it's really important and really helpful just to know like conceptually what's happening to us. So it's about becoming aware of what the beliefs are underneath your panic. What is the belief that is causing the panic? And then understanding that the only way to stop being triggered by it is to be willing to come back into the body and to feel the panic and the energy and the emotion associated with it, and that there is a natural processing of energy and emotion that our bodies are totally capable of doing, and that that's what they would do if we ever let them, but we never let them. So just thinking about that. And then you can, like, I obviously teach my specific methods of how I think that that should be done, the easiest way to do energy work. But you can look up like EFT, tapping, emotional freedom technique is an energy work tool that people use all the time. And it can be a really helpful way to start. Emily said, Laurel, I feel like that's how I feel when traveling. Like not being able to eat at certain times. So many options, but maybe hard to find the thing I want, and feeling like I need to eat while the food is available, even if I'm not hungry. Yeah. And the more, like the more our relationship with food isn't quite healthy or easy yet, the more stressful that's going to be. The more fed your body is, the more you know that you will get the food that you want eventually, and that everything is going to eventually be okay. The more your body actually knows that, the longer you've been doing that, the more you can travel and just trust that it's going to be okay. However, for people who have had food and body issues or have dieted a lot, traveling can sometimes trigger that. Like, oh God, like I feel like I'm not going to get to eat what I want again. And just being aware, again, not to be a broken record, but just to be aware of that can be helpful. So we're almost at an hour. It's been 50 minutes. So I'm just going to take any last questions, and then we'll be done for this. And of course, my intuition intensive is enrolling now. It's so much fun. There's a payment plan. If you have any questions about it, you can email me about it, and I'm happy to answer them. The cart was supposed to close on the 8th, but I might extend it. And I had this whole plan. I was like, oh, I'm going to enroll before the holidays, and then I'm going to run it after the holidays so we can avoid the holidays altogether. That might be a mistake because it feels far away for people. So they're like, I don't know if I it doesn't feel urgent enough. Anyway, so I might extend the cart, but even still, I'll let you know by email. When does it open up, Caroline? When does enrollment open up for the program? It's already open. So if you go to, it's been open for a week, and it's supposed to close on the 8th. But then it's actually going to run like the calls and all of the modules and information and lessons are going to be in the new year. So on January 8th. And there's a whole bunch of women who have already gone through it before, who are excited to go through it again, because it is like you take in what you can kind of soak in the first time, and then you like integrate it over the course of like half a year, and then you get to learn it all again and discuss it with other people. So yeah, it's open right now if you want to sign up. It's it's at I missed the email. Oh no, I need to make sure that people are getting my emails. It's thefuckitdiet.com/intuition. And it should be easy to find over there. And if you want to join, we would love to have you. Intuition, any of the lessons we've done, any of this, the kind of concept of needing to feel what has not yet been processed. Oh, Jeannie, she said, you said something on your page in Fucketeer Academy about maybe offering a longer payment plan. If you need a longer payment plan, anyone who's done a program of mine before, just email me and we can set that up. I posted that in Fucketeer Academy for anybody who's already taken a program and needs a little extra help. Laurel said, I've been doing a lot of reading about health at every size, intuitive eating, and I feel like I intellectually understand what I need to do to heal my relationship with food, but I'm still binging. And before you even finish that, because she didn't finish the thought, the intellectual side is great. It's the first step, but it takes time. It takes like time and surrendering and feeding and feeding and feeding and trusting and trusting. And I would honestly, not to like plug my thing, but it's only $12. I would get my No More Binging book because it talks about reframing a binge. So it's not as stressful and you can like, there's the binge repent cycle that you're like stuck in and like actually stepping out of that. So you're not in the reactive cycle, like freaking out about it and making it worse and worse. But she said, I know that it's because I still have the emotional response to bad food, thinking it's shameful and that I should feel guilty. I just don't know how to make that leap from understanding that reaction to making it stop. So conceptually, again, we're talking about conceptually, it's all about like taking what you consciously know and like bringing it down into the body. So I'm going to give you another conceptual thing of you have to come down into the body to feel all of that stuff. Fucketeer Academy is pretty affordable and it talks about like the belief thing and the emotional response and like simple energy work. So that can be a direction to go in. That's like literally, I offer it for people who are like, okay, I understand this, but I'm like panicking. What do I do? And it's literally like coming into your body and feeling that panic and then allowing yourself to kind of like take the next step forward. But I know it's scary, but like it's really just about trusting and like feeding and like being willing to feel. And it's not easy. Like if it was easy, I wouldn't be teaching this all the time because people will be like, thanks, great. It's hard, it's scary. But it is worth it. And I just want you to know that like it's normal to feel stuck and scared in the beginning, but like it will be okay, I promise. Anybody else have any questions? I know there's a delay, so I'm going to give it a little, like maybe a minute, 45 seconds. I don't know how long the delay is. I have like electrolytes in here, so if it looks cloudy, that's why. Oh, the bangless life is such a good life. I really need it. But guys, look, like if I clipped it back, I feel like I look like a little kid. Ava, what did you say? No, I'll just do it. Laurel said, thank you. Jeannie said, thank you. I don't know. You're welcome, Emily. I don't know what you mean, Ava. Maybe you were like talking about something. I don't know what you mean by no, I'll just do it, but I'll just do it sounds good, whatever that means. You're welcome, guys. I'm going to just give it a couple more moments just in case. Being in your body. Good. Awesome. All right. Thank you for watching. If anyone has any questions about the Intuition Intensive, you can email me. I'm happy to answer them. I know it's an investment. That's why I'm very willing to answer any questions or hesitation. And I will see you around the internet. Bye, guys.